Hello and welcome to the first Recyclist of 2026. It's January 19th. I'm your host, Eric Provost, and this is your weekly roundup of all the biggest news stories from the world of waste, gas, and energy presented by Diamond Scientific. First things first, and as always, let's take a quick look at the stock market and 6 stocks on the move from this past week within the world of waste, gas, and energy. Going into this past weekend, Casella Waste was sitting at $105.13 per share. Republic Services Incorporated had reached $209.86 per share. Waste Connections, a little below that, now at $166.56 per share. Montauk Renewables up to $1.46 per share. GFL Environmental at $42.34 per share. And lastly, Waste Management now at $220.12 a share. But moving into the news, a new federal bill aims to reclassify chemical recycling now as a manufacturing process. The Recycling Technology Innovation Act seeks to amend the Clean Air Act to allow certain chemical recyclers to petition for their operations to be, quote, excluded from the definition of solid waste incineration unit, end quote. Chemical recycling, which the plastics industry calls advanced or molecular recycling, is a suite of technologies meant to break down plastics to their molecular building blocks and be made into new plastics, or in some cases, fuel. Supporters say the Recycling Technology Innovation Act would streamline permitting, but critics say reclassification could erode Clean Air Act protections. And up next, Gevo Incorporated, a manufacturer of renewable fuels and chemicals, announced this past week it has been awarded a U.S. patent broadening protections for different catalyst combinations and, crucially, protects the use of ethanol to olefins technology, or ETO technology, to produce fuels. Gevo's process, developed in partnership with LG Chem Limited, produces light olefins from ethanol and can convert those olefins into transportation fuels using commercially proven alcohol-to-jet technologies. Paul Bloom, president of Gevo, said, quote, "The effort by our team to secure this patent expands our proprietary technology position and enhances a pathway to renewable jet fuel that is more cost-effective for Gevo and our partners," end quote. According to the company, ETO technology is expected to deliver up to 35% lower capital and operating costs compared to current technologies. And next, according to sources, GFL Environmental and LRS recently acquired assets from each other in a deal that went into effect at the beginning of 2026. LRS sold 2 hauling yards and a C&D landfill in Mayflower, Arkansas, while GFL sold unspecified assets in Indiana. The two companies do have a history of deal making. GFL acquired LRS's Wisconsin assets in 2025, and LRS acquired GFL assets in Illinois and Minnesota back in 2021. Both companies were also connected to the $1.2 billion acquisition of WCA Waste back in 2020. This new deal comes as LRS orients itself around its new Indianapolis hub, where it began providing waste and recycling collection services at the beginning of the year. And speaking of mergers and acquisitions, VistraCorp announced this past week it has executed definitive agreements to acquire Cogentrix Energy, a portfolio company of Quantum Capital Group, for $4 billion. The acquisition includes 10 modern gas generation facilities with a combined capacity of 5,496 megawatts. This follows up Vistra's October 2025 acquisition of 7 plants from Lotus Infrastructure Partners to the tune of $1.9 billion. Vistra President and CEO Jim Burke said the addition of this portfolio is, quote, a great way to start another year of growth for Vistra as we've completed, acquired, or developed projects in each of the competitive power regions where we operate. Vistra continues to look for opportunities that allow us to meet the growing demand of customers and meet our disciplined investment thresholds, end quote. And just a reminder, Recyclist is a registered trademark of Diamond Scientific, an industry leader in gas analysis, instrumentation, and solutions. Make sure to visit them online at diamondsci.com. That's diamondsci.com. Or you can even set up a personalized presentation just by calling 321-223-7500. Now on with the news. Moving to California, the city of Oxnard is moving forward with a $46 million improvement project at the city's water resource recovery facility. Carollo Engineers was chosen to provide construction management for the project after previously completing the city's advanced metering infrastructure project, which successfully replaced more than 41,000 water meters citywide. Rodolfo Garcia, Carollo's construction manager, said, quote, "We are honored that the city of Oxnard has again entrusted Carollo to oversee critical infrastructure improvements for the community. This project represents a significant milestone in modernizing the water resource recovery facility, and our team is committed to working as an extension of the city staff to deliver these essential upgrades." End quote. And up next, Apex Clean Energy recently announced the company has successfully financed 3 utility-scale renewable energy assets across Texas, Ohio, and Illinois for the sum total of $2.79 billion. The projects include Raven Storage, a 100-megawatt battery storage system located in Wharton County, Texas, Emerson Creek Wind, a 269-megawatt wind farm located in Erie and Huron counties in Ohio, and Coles Wind, a 300-megawatt wind facility in Coles County, Illinois. In a statement, the company called the move, quote, "a significant year-end milestone and reinforcing the company's ability to execute at scale," end quote. And lastly, speaking of 3 burgeoning projects, Waga Energy has been very busy this past week with 3 new Waga Box projects announced across North America. First, in Hillsborough County, Florida, the county has selected Waga Energy to build, own, operate, and maintain a renewable natural gas production unit at the Southeast County landfill in Lithia, Florida. When in operation, this specific facility will be able to produce up to 610,000 British thermal units of RNG per year. Waga President Quanelle Prince said of that project, quote, "We are proud to be partnering with Hillsborough County on this major project and deploying our first Waga Box unit in Florida near our U.S. commercial headquarters," end quote. Then in Lane County, in partnership with Emerald Peoples Utility District, Waga Energy is set to again build, own, operate, and maintain a renewable natural gas production unit at the Short Mountain Landfill in Eugene, Oregon. When in operation, that facility is designed to produce about 407,000 British thermal units of RNG per year. The Lane County project is expected to reduce up to 31,000 tons of CO2 equivalent emissions annually due to avoiding the CO2 emissions from over 2.7 million gallons of diesel. Additionally, Waga was awarded $15 million Canadian in financial aid from Quebec's Ministry of Economy, Innovation and Energy to help finance construction of a project within the province. The company says that facility will produce up to 188 million British thermal units, or 160 gigawatt hours, corresponding to the energy consumption of approximately 2,900 Quebec households. But that will do it for your January 19th, 2026 news roundup, brought to you by Recyclist, again, a trademark of Diamond Scientific. I've been your host, Eric Provost, and we will see you back here next week for another brand new episode of Recyclist. Thank you.